So this video is going to be a little different. Usually I try to keep it lighthearted and fun. I'm trying to do fun things with Michelle. We had an inflatable unicorn, inflatable pool. We did a fashion show.
Alley, that wasn't very
Grappling
fun.
Alley wasn't very fun, but it was still. This is about a serious subject. This is about the return to school. I can't believe it's September next week. It's crazy, and it's been extremely stressful. Like, I can't even tell you. If you're a parent in Ontario with young children, you probably know what I'm talking about when I say it's been the most stressful back to school consideration ever. Where do I even begin? Okay, so on March 12th, 2020, the Premier said that schools were closing down because kids, their safety comes first, so he was closing schools down. At the time, we thought it was just going to be an extended March break, a few weeks, but the lockdown actually continued. Didn't go back to school in April, didn't go back in May, and then stayed online learning at home through June. Now, in June, they sent... the school sent some scenarios of what might happen in September, and we were supposed to vote on which scenario we liked. So I consulted with Michelle what she would prefer. We thought that the classes were going to be smaller, like so that kids could be spaced out. And they said either you'd be at school part of the time and home part of the time, so you could go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or maybe you'd go to school every other week. But the idea was there'd be half the kids there, you'd be there half the time, whatever. So now September rolled around, it came way too quickly, and the government lets us know, oh, well, actually, no, you're going to be back to school 5 days a week, full classes. They're not smaller class sizes, you're not spaced out. The only things they're doing are, of course, they've got the protocols for hand washing, masks. Kids under grade 4 didn't have to wear masks, and kids over grade 4 did, but now they've changed that. Now they're saying everybody needs to wear a mask. At least they figured that much out. But
I'd be fine with that. We've been shopping to the mall with them. I like wearing matching masks all the time. I'd be fine with going back to school, but no, that's...
Well, now the thing was, we considered it, like I did a back to school video. We got her some new shoes because she outgrew her shoes. We got her some new things, but I didn't know if I was sending her or not. Then they sent a survey to ask whether you're sending your child back to school full-time or if you're just staying home online learning. So it was so black and white, and on the survey, like, I wanted to put maybe. Like, I didn't want to give a firm answer because I was torn. Like, on one hand, Michelle really wanted to go back to school because she misses her friends. She's been isolated with me for months. And I also, it's been hard on me because I'm a single mom and I haven't had any time to myself in months. Like, I thought at least when she was in school, like things like taking the car for an oil change, like I don't want to drag her. I've got to drag her everywhere with me. So all those errands that I used to do when she was in school, I can't do. Plus, it's harder to focus on my work. Like, everything would be easier if she was in school. Of course, I'd miss her and worry about her. But so we were grappling with this because I thought she really wanted to go, and like some of her friends were going. But when I started, the more I thought about it, I was having panic attacks, and I started getting this knot in the pit of my stomach, and I couldn't do it. Like, the plan that Ford and Lecce have created is not safe. The kids are too close together, and the only thing that they're doing is they're keeping the kids in cohorts. So your kid is in a group of people, so that if somebody, God forbid, does have COVID, at least it's not going to spread as much because they're only in this group. But they don't give any details about how big the group's going to be, who's going to be in the group. Like, I mean, ideally, if she was in a class and in a group with just her best friends, and then she gets to stay with them all day in class, gets to go out for recess with them, then that's great. But what if you're stuck in a group with kids that, you know, you're not friends with, that maybe aren't even nice to you, and you got to stay with them all the time? It's scary to me too that you don't know the kids, if, like, Michelle knows to take precautions. She's used to wearing masks, but other kids, like, if their parents aren't taking it seriously, some kids, their parents have even let them have play dates. They're not social distancing, they're not taking precautions. Like, you have no control over what the other people are doing, and they're going to be too close to you. Like, to me, there were so many things I was like, oh my God, like I can't do this. How do I put her in harm's way? I've been keeping her home for months to keep her safe. How do I then send her out like a canary in a coal mine or a guinea pig in a science experiment? Like, and then people say, well, the numbers are really low. It doesn't matter. Like, if there's even one case, like, I don't want that to be my kid. I don't want my child to be a statistic. And I mean, it's a painful decision. The thing is, anytime you make any choice, there's a loss. You're giving something up. So I had her fill out like pros and cons, a cost benefit analysis, and I filled one out and trying to decide. But the bottom line was, if I'm being too cautious and I kept her home because I'm overly protective and it was unnecessary, I could live with that. If that is a mistake, keeping her home, I can completely live with that. If I'm accused of being an overprotective parent, that's fine. If I sent her to school, put her in harm's way, and God forbid she caught something or she spread something to my mom or to me, like, I could not live with that. I could not live with knowing that I willingly put my child at risk, knowing I was putting her into a bad situation. I can't. Like, I couldn't sleep at night, and I can't even imagine dropping her off at school. Like, it's always stressful in September taking her to school, but this year, oh my God, like, you're taking them into a war zone. Like, no freaking way. And now I even heard there's so many teachers that are upset about the plan, and Unsafe September was trending on Twitter. Parents and teachers and so many people are against this plan. And especially for some schools where the classes are very large, like we're talking 35 people in a room where the windows don't open, never mind having HVAC system, whatever. Like, it's not a safe situation. And don't even get me started on buses and how close the kids will be together. Like, it's just a really bad plan that doesn't take kids into account. And I know that for some parents, it's got to be really hard because they don't have a choice. It's not an option to work from home, and they have to send them. So they must be terrified. And I know a lot of parents are suffering anxiety, but I don't know how Ford and Lecce can do this. I don't know how they can sleep at night. I mean, they don't have skin in the game. They don't have young kids that are going to school. So, like somebody asked Trudeau, was he sending his children? And at first he said, well, he was thinking about it, but then he said, no, he's not. Like, how do you do it in good conscience? Now I even heard that on their COVID team, they've got the chief coroner is going to be the coordinator of their provincial outbreak team. It's like, are you kidding me? A coroner, like someone that works with dead people, is now in charge of taking care of kids' health. Like, that's great. That's really encouraging. The whole thing, I'm like, no, I'm out. So I've already I've registered her for online learning. So she's going to be still at home doing her work.
I'm very happy about that.
Well, I mean, she was disappointed at first that she's not going to see her friends, but truly, it's not going to be it's not going to be like school the way it was.
Nope.
You couldn't get close to your friends anyway. Everyone's got to wear masks. You got to stay apart, and it would be terrifying. Like, when I was considering sending her, we thought, okay, well, if you go the first day and then you don't feel comfortable, but I'm like, no, because that's still one day that I've put her in that situation. Like, God forbid some kid coughs on her, or God, who knows what. Like, when she was going to school, she was getting sick all the time. Like, every other day she'd come home with a sniffle. Since she's been home, like, neither of us have been sick at all because we're staying away from other people. Schools are a petri dish on a good day. Never mind, in the middle of a pandemic, you're going to have all these kids close together that God knows what they're carrying. And the other thing is, too, that it's fine to say, okay, well, there's only a few cases in your area, whatever, if you're in an area that doesn't have a lot of cases. I've heard that asymptomatic people are actually more contagious and for longer periods than people with symptoms. So that means someone that's not showing any sign whatsoever that they have COVID is carrying it and can be spreading it to everyone. And someone could be a super spreader. Like, we're super safe. We have not gone outside our circle of 10, just our family. But I know not everyone, probably most people aren't following that. And some people, like kids that are having play dates and they're not taking any precautions, they're just running amok, they're spreading the germs to people, and it spreads and spreads. And in a class, like, I'm not doing that to her. Like, even if she didn't get sick, like, if, say, hypothetically, a kid in the class gets COVID, then what happens? Does everyone have to be tested? Do they do contact tracing? I don't want her taking that test. I don't want her getting that like 2-foot Q-tip up her nose. Like, no, thank you. I want nothing to do.
I've never had a nosebleed in my life, and I'm not going to start with that horrible test.
Well, because I know somebody, and it's not somebody that's a wimp. It's someone pretty tough, and they found the test awful. So imagine for a child. It's like, and I've heard of a lot of schools that have opened and they have had outbreaks and they've had to close down again. It's like, this is all an experiment. This is a novel virus. Nobody really knows. No one has all the answers. Even the experts, they're constantly finding things out. Why would you put your kids at risk? Now, I know some people don't have the option because they have to go to work, and I feel horrible for those families and for the teachers. My heart goes out to them because they're in an unsafe situation. It's not fair to them. The whole thing is just, it's just a nightmare. But I just felt like I had to get this off my chest because it has been so stressful. And I mean, now that I've decided to keep her home and I have registered her for online learning, I know I've made the right decision, but it's still hard because it's still heartbreaking for her, and it's hard for me because we've been home all this time, but I have to keep her safe. Bottom line, like I love her too much to put her at risk. I just can't do it. So anyway, she'll be home a little bit longer. Well, you're going to be home. You're going to be safe. And I mean, I hope like maybe things will go okay in the schools, but I wouldn't want, like, even if there was just one case, like, I don't want my child to be a statistic. I don't want her to be a case. So we're staying home. She's going to be doing her online learning. At some point, hopefully life does go back to normal, but we're not there yet. Like, there is no vaccine. Nothing's changed. In fact, things have changed for the worse. I mean, back in March when Ford closed down the school, there was, I don't know, 141 cases of COVID. There's now, what are we up to? Let's see. And this will change even by the time I post this video. What did I write down here?
Oh no, your writing's very...
Closing in on 130,000 cases in Canada, and 9,000 deaths. Back in March, there was 1 death. I mean, why risk it? And now the world is, what's that number? 24?
I have no idea. 24
million around the world. The U.S. closing in on 6 million. Like, the U.S. is a cautionary tale what not to do. That's what happens when you don't take it seriously, when you have a leader that just says, oh, it's just going to go away like magic. Well, no, it sure isn't. And look where your country is, and look how many people you've killed. Anyways, I just felt like I had to say something because I started this playlist of random experiences during the coronavirus pandemic. I thought I've got to mention this whole back to school thing because it's been so much stress and anxiety and disappointment, but I know we're doing the right thing. You have to do what feels right for you and for your family, but I'm just, my heart goes out to everyone that's going to be going through that, especially the teachers, kids and families and community. Like, it affects everyone because you know what? If it starts spreading in schools, it's going to go beyond the schools to the students and the teachers, families, parents, grandparents who are vulnerable. Like, that's how it spreads. Like, Canada's in pretty good shape compared to the rest of the world, but that's because we've been doing the right things. So if you have to stay 2 meters apart at the grocery store and 2 meters apart everywhere you go, why is it then okay for the kids to be next to each other on a bus and right next to each other in a class? And anyways, take care, stay safe, hope for the best. Yeah, I'm gonna have my girl home with me. I have to do it when it feels right. And then
Maybe too.
okay. Bye for now.
Bye. Allie, don't yawn at us. That's considered rude. That's considered...
Okay, anyway, back in March, schools were closed.
No, Allie,
And
don't
there
leave.
goes Allie. We thought at the time it was just going to be for a couple of weeks, like an extended March break, and that turned into months. And then school didn't come back for the
Smells
year.
awful.
And then now it's September, like next week. It's crazy. And this isn't going well.
Oh, Lee.